So what is table? We all know that table holds the data. So table is used to store the data. But how exactly it will store the data? For that, we need a structure that is a rows and column structure. Okay. For example, so we have to create a table like this. Okay. Um, we'll be creating using BC. I'll show you where the first row is a header. That is a variable. We can also call it as a variable, or it is an attribute which is used to store the data. Okay, that is a variable. For example, if I'm storing employee data, then the first one will be the employee number. So this is the variable. This is used to store all the employee number which are there in the next upcoming rows. Okay, this is an employee name. If you take, this is an employee name. So every row header, that is a first column, we'll call it as a header, and we will be storing the records accordingly. Likewise, this is also called as a field. Okay, we are going to talk completely in terms of a BC. So what is exactly table in BC? So a table definition describes the identification information. So what we are going to create, what are the fields we have? It is used to describe a data structure. How exactly we are going to store the data. Okay, and what are the validation rules for that? Validation rules, in the sense, we can define what is this data. For example, if it is an employee number, what type of data it should hold, whether it is a string data, or it is a number, or it is a floating point. For example, if you take, okay, if you want to store age, okay, we'll be defining this as a integer, of course, right? So what is this integer in BC? How we can store that integer? In general terms, it is called as an integer, but exactly in BC, how we can declare that? Okay, and whether will you be telling, if someone is asking you age, whether you will tell like I'm 5.5, I'm 15.5? No, that is a decimal, right? So we'll be telling our whole age. Okay, so that is what age. Okay, if you take your name example, if you take your name, you will be telling your name. For example, if I tell my name, that is Gomati. Okay, so you have to enclose within the double quotes. Okay, so this is what the string. So if I want to declare this string, I'll be using the data type called text in BC. Likewise, we have various data types in BC. Okay, how we are going to declare that? That is whether that particular, what type of data we are going to store, and what is the exact data type. Data type means what type of data it is. Okay, we have various types of data. Like if you want to store the student roll number, or an employee ID, or if it is a television show, if you want to store the television ID, then usually we will be storing it as a code. Okay, code is a combination of number and integer, number and string. Okay, you have code, you have text. If you want to store in a time format like 12.0 hours, so in that case you can use time itself. Time is also a data type. Okay, so what type of data you are going to create it, so that we have to specify for every table. Okay, this is basic. Okay, what type of data we are going to store. Okay, so that is what validation rules. And what is a storage in the sense, for some type of data, we have to tell like how many length we are going to store. For example, if it is a code, okay, how many length we are going to store it. If the code is only holds only 5 characters, okay, then I can tell that code, and within the subscript I can tell it is a 5. So subscript is what the square brackets. Okay, within that square bracket, whatever the number you are writing, that will be considered as a length you are specifying. Okay, so that is what about the table you have to tell. So I'll be showing you the snippet. So once We are done with the introduction part. I'll show you what are the, like that we have various data type. Okay, in data that is in AL. So simply you can go and search for data types in BCAL tables. Okay, so whatever you type, no, in Microsoft Learn we have everything. Okay, all the basics we have, we can just do wonders with that. Find all the data types which are recognized by EAL. Okay, that is BCAL. You can find various data types irrespective of traditional programming languages. Okay, you can find more. We'll be looking at more frequently used data type. Okay, like any, this data type can be substituted by any other data type. Big integer, how much it stores. Big text, blob, everything is here in the proper alphabetical order. You can just go ahead and check this. Okay, table is different, whereas data is different. Okay, table is what it shows the structure of what you're going to store, but whereas data stores what exactly you're going to store. Okay, the data is the variable content that originates from the user activity. All permanent data must be stored in the table, so you have to store all the permanent data into the table. Okay, so the next one is what, this is how a table snippet looks like. I'll also show it here. So I have already published a video on how to install Visual Studio Code and download AL symbols. Okay, you can watch that in my previous videos in my playlist, or else I have given the link in the description. You can check that. Okay, so here I'm just going to show you how I'm going to create a table. Okay, simply go to your Visual Studio Code, click this Explorer tab, that is Explorer icon, and then if you click New File, you can find some space like this. Okay, I'm going to create a simple table. Okay, so here you can see that I have to name the table properly. Okay, your table name should be proper. It should be singular. For example, if you are going to store the customer data, okay, that is data about your customers, then it should be customer dot al. Okay, or table customer dot al. You should not use the plural word called customers. Fine, it should be singular. So you can find those thing here. Okay, a table can have following components, up to 500 fields you can create. Fields is what we'll be creating, right? That is the how many columns you want, that is what the field. Okay, I can create up to 500 fields here. Okay, this is the field. Okay, you can create a 500 fields, a defined record size of up to 8,000 bytes. With each field size is at maximum. Up to 40 different keys you can create. I hope you all know what is a key. That is, we'll be using two types of keys here. That is, one is a primary key and second one is a secondary key. So there should be only one primary. You can set one primary key. It might be the combination of many key component, and you can create 39 secondary keys. Okay, so that is the logic behind it. And while if you want to name a table, that should be descriptive. Okay, if you want to store the customer data, you should not name it as cus. Okay, cus, because this is not a very descriptive name. Okay, it should be customer. It should be singular. Okay, and it should be of reasonable length. For example, if I wanted to store the customer table, if I want to create a table customer, I should not store it like customer. Okay, this is also singular, right? Customer, and then 52360. So this is not exactly a proper customer name. Of course, you're just exceeding the length. If you think about why I should not exceed the length and why it should be proper, that is, a naming should be proper, because we'll be connecting two or more tables. In that case, if you use a proper naming convention, you can easily connect it. Okay, you can easily remember it, and also you can easily connect it. If you are giving such funny names, you cannot easily remember it. Okay, your table name should be meaningful, fine, and easy to identify to establish the relationship. Okay, so this is what a table. So let us just create a simple table here. I'm just going to create a customer table. Let us create a customer table. Customer dot al, so it should end with dot al because we are creating an al programming. Okay, so this is al programming means application language. Okay, so this should end with dot al. So once if you enter, you can find that customer dot al is created. Now I wanted to create a table instead of typing. So you can see that this is what the snippet we have seen, right? This is what the overall snippet of the table. So a table consists of table properties, a field because you have to create a field. You can create a table keys, you can create a field groups, you can create table variables, global variables, you can create a triggers for your table, you can create procedures for your table. Of course, we'll be looking at these things either in the same video or in a different video. Okay, but we will of course complete basics of tables. Okay, so all these things can be done with a table. So you can create the table very easily with a simple snippet. So this snippet is available there. If you just type t, you can find this is what the t table snippet is already available. Just press enter. You can find the complete code, that is a complete snippet of the table to create a table. So here you can find that this is a field, this is where you have to define the field. Okay, and these are all the keys, you can define your own keys. And as we discussed, this is a global variable you can create, and these are all the triggers which are possible triggers inside, that is the built-in triggers for the every table. So by default, table snippets will come up along with these things. Okay, so let us go and check this. um, let us go and understand. Okay, so what is all these things other than this thing? So here in the first one, you can see that you have an id. Okay, this id should be basically 50,000 to 50,009. Why it is 50,000 to 50,009? Because this table is considered to be an object in an al programming. Okay, so every object should have a unique id to identify it. So in order to identify it, you have to create an ID for that. For that, already you have, this is from 1 to this much ID we can create. Okay, but it has its own limitation. So 1 to 9,999 is for base application objects, which is already created inside the AL programming. So just if you go and check the Object Explorer, you can find that few IDs are already created. That is 1 to 9,999. Even till 9,999, if it is not created, that is specifically reserved for um, Microsoft based products. Okay, and if you see, 10,000 to 49,999 is country specific object. Okay, this is for country specific object. 50,000 to 99,999 is customer specific tool. Of course, we will be using between 50,000 to 99,999. Okay, so whenever you are creating any object, it might be a table, it might be a page, it might be a page extension, table extension, code unit, xml board, report. So these are all the these are all the al objects. Whenever you are creating, you have to use the id between these things. Okay, if even if you use one or two, it will not accept. Okay, so let us see, like we are going to create a table. Okay, there is a customer table or an employee table, any table it might be. So this is the table, they have already defined the table. Whatever is shown in a blue color, it is a keyword. Okay, it's already defined. If you just keep your mouse, if you just hover over that particular keyword, it will show you what is that. Okay, and here you can see I have kept that is showing some error because it is showing as a red underlined. So it is an error because we haven't specified any ID, and what it is showing there. So it's just scroll down. Oh, it is showing that application object identifier 0 is not valid. It must be within the allowed ranges 5,100 to 5,149. Okay, because they have already created few objects between 5,000 to 50,000 to 50,000 9. Okay, that is why it is showing, sorry, 50,100 to 50,149. This is the range it is showing. So I'm just going to change this 50,100. If it is showing again, if it shows any underline, then simply delete it and try to change some value to it. Okay, now the error is gone. That is 50,011. Now let us create a table. Okay, let us create an employee table. I think that might be good. Okay, so employee. So I'm just giving the name for the table, employee. If it shows an underline, it means that it's already there. So I'm just going to leave it as employee. Okay, a single E. Okay, though it's not a that is it's not proper. It's not a correct spelling. I'm just going to leave it as employee, and 5011 is what the ID. Okay, so as we discussed that you have few table properties, let us see what are the table properties you have. Okay, if you just press control and space, you can find various properties here. Okay, whatever is showing with this spanner symbol, these are all the properties you have. Okay, just if you scroll down, you can see, and whatever it is showing as a square symbol, it is a snippet which is already there for table. You can also import that table here. So if you just click anything, okay, if you can click here, what is the proper, what is this axis, what do you mean by axis? Any property, if you want to know about it, you can simply select that and find what is that. Okay, set to the object accessibility level, which controls whether the object can be used from other code in your module or not. Okay, so this is about access. By default, we'll be using few things called caption ml, description, data pep company, and permission, a lookup page id, drill down page id. So these are all the few things which we'll be using. Linked object, data caption fields, table type, obsolete state, obsolete reason. So few things we'll be using. Okay, as of now, I'll just show you the commonly used one. Okay, so let us click here caption. If you click caption, click equal to, and click control and space, it will not tell you anything, because caption is the property which you have to assign it for the table. So this caption contains was defined for the currently selected language. Okay, if you want to give something, like if you want to give a default caption for your table, for example, I'm just going to give that employee table. This is the caption which I wanted to give it for the table. So whenever you are done, you have to end up with the semicolon. Okay, so every lines ends with a semicolon. So caption is fine. That is what a description. Okay, so if you just type description, you can see that you can give a description. This is basically used for the documentation purpose. Okay, what, how you are describing this particular table and what is that. Okay, likewise you have various other pages as well. Next is like a lookup page. Okay, lookup page is there. So if you see here lookup page, so even again another one is like you can simply click here, and if you click get help, it will open up. Okay, you can see what all, how you can create it. Yes, you can see that what is the possible thing you can make it using this caption m. So let us see whether this is working out. Okay, so likewise, lookup page. So if you just go and click, you can see that lookup page id. Okay, this allows us to define what page is the default for looking up data. Okay, which field you are going to look up from a different table. Fine, like drill down page id, which allows to define what page is the default for drilling down. See, drilling down is different. Like for example, country, if you drill down country, it will show you state. Okay, if you drill down state, it will show you city. If you drill down city, it will show you that is sub regions likewise. Okay, so that is what drilling down. So lookup, drill down we'll be using often. So these are all the few properties for the table, that is for the table which we will be using. And the important property is what the data classification. Okay, data classification, whether you are classifying this data. So if you just delete this, okay, and press control space, you can see that it has its own classification. Okay, account data, whether you are classifying this data as an account data which is already there, customer content, end user identifiable, end user pseudonymous identifier likewise. So by default we'll be using to be classified for every table, and if your table is related to any other classification, then you can select that as well. Okay, this is about the general properties of a table. Okay, so next is a field. As I told you, we have to create a field, that is what are the necessary field which we want for our table. For example, if I want, imagine that I want these fields in my table. So this is an employee, so I want the first one to be employee id. Okay, employee code, this I want this as a first field. Second field as employee name. Okay, third field as employee city. Okay, so these are all the columns. Okay, fourth field as employee phone number. Fifth field as employee salary. Okay, so what are the field I wanted to create, what is the column I want to create? So that is what we have to tell. By default, field has its own syntax. This we will call it as a syntax. So field is what the keyword, and you have to define a id for that, id for every field. Okay, the id usually will be giving the key field in as one. Okay, and any other field we'll be starting it from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, likewise. So you can create any number, you can give any number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anything is fine. Okay, so let us create a field. So here you have a id for every field. Okay, you have to give id for every field. And second one is you have to give the name for the field. What is my name for the field is what? Employee code. Okay, this is the name of my field, first field, that is a column. So now if you want to give a space, okay, if I wanted to give a space for my field, that is a column, you have to enclose that within a single or a double quote. If the single quote is not accepting, then it's definitely you have to give it within the double quotes. Okay, so if we, that is in, if you know, if you know SQL, then in SQL we will not be creating any column with a space. Okay, we have to give, either you have to use a underscore, or else we have to leave a space, or that is sorry, or else we have to give together. Here it is not like that, you can use a space. Okay, the third one is what type of data it is, like a data type, you have to specify the data type. If employee code is what the code, that is you can give, so just simply press control and space, you can see the possible data type for you. So whatever is given in this symbol, these are all the data type. Okay, so you can give any data type, you have to give data type. Okay, control and space, it will show you what data type you can give. And if it is a code, you have to definitely mention or indicate what is the length of the code. Okay, you have to mention that and close it. Okay, so as we are discussing, if you want to create a field has three properties in that. Okay, field, even field we have, that is first one is what the id, you have to end up with a semicolon. The second one is the name of the field. Okay, you have to give what is the name, that should be with a semicolon, and then what is the data type, and close it. Okay, and inside that field you have to specify what is that. Okay, that is the property of the field again. So as we discussed in the snippet, every field has its own property, right? So here if you go back to the snippet, you can see that even field has properties and triggers. So if you just press control and space, you can see these are all the properties. Even for triggers, even for field, you have caption. Okay, and a few properties will be different than your table properties. Okay, for the field, and you also have triggers as well, you can create your own trigger. That we will see gradually. Okay, that's simply I'm just going to show you how I'm creating a simple field, that is a simple table, and executing. Okay, if I want to create another field, then you can give t field. Okay, this is also a snippet inside the field. Okay, t field, I'm just pressing it, enter. You can find the snippet. Okay, you don't want to again and again go and create, type everything. Okay, and delete, you have to give the id for your field. And next one is what, my employee name. Okay, employee name. And then I'm just going to create the, I wanted to tell what is the data type. Okay, and this is text data, right? Because I wanted this to be a string, so I'm going to simply give this text. Okay, and even for text we have to give the length. Okay, I am just giving a length as 15. Fine. So this is what you can create a field. How many fields you want, you can simply create it. See, this is enclosed. Okay, you have to give the you have to give what is the property. This is not a mandatory property. Okay, if you don't want to give any property, if you are deleting it or even if you are commenting it, but of course all the fields should have an open curly brace and a closed curly brace. Even if you don't want to give this, you can delete it. Okay, but it should have an open and closed curly brace. So one field is created. Now again, if we create in this one, this two second field is created. I'm going to create another field. So just press T field and go ahead with the next field name, employee name, and I'm going to give a salary. So since it is having only one word, so I'm not enclosing it with a double quotes. And then what is the salary it should be, I'm just mentioning it as a decimal and leaving it. Okay, again I'm creating a T field, and I just wanted to give another field here, 30, and I'm creating the field name as date of joining, so DOJ. Okay, and if you just click, it's showing date. Okay, and likewise you have various options to create. Okay, so that is what I'm just trying to tell, you can create a various options over there. So decimal, these things are very basics. Okay, like you can just simply create a decimal. And okay, so other than that, okay, we are just going to see one more field called, one more data type called options data type. So for example, if I wanted to specify the field of the branch where he is working. Okay, so I'm just going to create a T field. Okay, and I'm just naming it as a 40 as an id, and in which city he is. For example, I have my company only in 4 cities. Okay, so if I wanted to give the city, okay, it might be the name of a city, or it might be a branch name, whatever it may be. Okay, you can give. So in that case, I have to create an option. Only 4 cities. Okay. So what I'm going to give is what I'm going to create it as, make it as an option. If you make it as an option, you have to tell what are the options you're going to show it for that particular person. Okay, for that. So what I wanted to create is, I wanted to create what, option members. Okay, what are the members which you have for the option. So I'm just going to create an option members as, because since it's a city. Okay, so I'm going to create it as Chennai, um, Coimbatore, Bangalore, and okay, only three. Fine, let us go with this. Okay, one more, like Mumbai. Okay, so you have to tell the option. Here you have to specify what is what you wanted to show, only the option, few options for them. For example, even if you wanted to make it as a gender. Okay, so I want to create a gender field. In that case, you can create what, you can create an option for them, that is whether it is a he or she. Okay, so I'm just going to create it as 50, and this I'm going to make it as a gender. Okay, and I'm just going to make it as an option. And once if you create an option, and if you are not and if you are not passing any members for that, that is an optional members for that, then it will show you error. Okay, so I'm going to create an option members for that. That is male or female or not willing to say, okay, or transgender. Fine. So this you have to tell, you have to pass this, and remember that usually in whatever the programming language we are, if you are declaring any string, we have to use the double quotation, right? But in this case, if you are giving an option members, you don't want to be inside the double quotes. That particular string don't want to be inside the double quotes. But whenever you are leaving any spaces, keep that in mind that you have to make it as a double quotes. Okay, so apart from this, we have other field called Boolean and called duration, date. Okay, date we have already discussed, right? Yes. So we have various other options as well. I have also uploaded few basic projects in BC. Also, I have uploaded the basic tables in BC. You can find that as well. Okay, anyhow, we will just proceed with this. So this is how you can create a field. So this complete field is enclosed within a fields block. Okay, fields, inside field you have created multiple field. So how it will be created? A table will be created. Once if you execute this, what happens? Okay, once if you execute this, what is exactly happening is what? A table will be created called employee. Okay, a table will be created called employee. I'm just, okay, this is a table called employee is created, AEMPLOYE. And how many fields has been created? Employee code. Okay, one, two, three, four, five, six. Six fields has been created. Employee code, employee name, salary. So this is the first field. One, two, three, four, five, six. So employee code. This is employee code. I'm just writing the first. That is the words. Okay, which starts with employee code, employee name. Okay, whatever we have written, salary and salary, date of joining, city, date of joining, city, and gender. Okay, the that is the column organization may be different because the gender should come here. Okay, but I just wanted to show you various possibilities. Okay, so this is what how your table will be created now. Okay, once we execute. Now next is the key field. Okay, you have to declare what is a key field for mine. So keys, this is an another block in your snippet. Okay, so this is a complete keys where inside the key you are creating, that is, this is, you are just mentioning that this is the name of a key and which field, any one field from this table. Okay, probably employee code is what I needed for the key. Even once if you click control and enter, control space, okay, it will show you by default what are the possible keys which you can do it. Okay, it will, of course it will show you all the fields which you have created. Just simply type employee code, your other thing um, will be deleted. Okay, so this is what about the key you are creating. Now you have created you have what, you have created the table with a field. Okay, and next one is what you have created keys. We are going to create a key and that should be inside the key. Okay, this is a table key, and as we discussed in the snippet, even we can create a primary key and a secondary key. Okay, so primary key, it should be like the single key and one key. Usually it will be unique, whatever is unique you can make it as a primary key. Okay, and we have two types of thing, like even you can create it like this. Okay, key one is what, employee code, and you can also make it as employee name together. This is a primary. Okay, this is also possible. Okay, like as we discussed here in this. So I'm just going to show you that this is about the key. Okay, so yes, up to 40 different keys you can create it. Okay, so one key for this is a primary key, whatever you are creating as the first key, okay, key one, even if you make it as a pk or whatever you name it, it will accept it. Okay, but whatever you are declaring as the first block, first key here, that will be considered as a primary key. Okay, and if you take this primary key, this primary key can be the combination of up to four. Okay, you can have four different combination, like employee code, employee name, comma, employee department, if you have a department as a single, as a field over there. Okay, as well as you can create, this is one key, this complete will be considered as a one key, and the next one will be the secondary keys. Okay, key two, that is whatever you're creating after this key, that will be considered as a secondary keys. Fine, you can create it like this, you can have a combination of keys, but whenever you're giving a key, that will increase your indexing, and it will increase your performance. But too much of keys, that may confuse you. That may also create complexities when you try to establish relationship. So try to be very clear about while creating any key. Okay, you can give any name for this key, this is not mandatory that you have to give pk or key one. You can even give your name. Okay, that is possible, but better be specific about naming anything. So next one is, here you can see that this is a clustered. Okay, this usually you should know about indexing, how indexing will happen. So you have two types of clustering. Okay, that is you have two types of indexing here. One is clustered and non-clustered. Okay, so a cluster index determines the physical order in which records are stored in the table. In which physical order the records are going to store in the table. Okay, so based on the key value which we are giving here while declaring here, okay, based on the key value, records are stored in ascending order. The records will be stored in what? In ascending order. Using a clustered key can speed up the retrieval of the record. If we are clustering, if we use clustered is equal to true, then it means that it is a clustered key, clustered indexed. Okay, there can be only one clustered index. For example, you cannot create another key. Okay, I'm just going to create a key. For everything you have a snippet. Okay, just give t, and whatever the that is a code, that is a block which you wanted to create, just to give that, it will create a snippet, small snippet for you. And if I am trying to create a key, another key, okay, either you can give key 2, okay, that is also fine, or else you can also create sk. Okay, and then you have to tell what is the field you're going to make it as an sk. Okay, so now I'm just giving like probably, okay, I don't have any proper key for this here, but anyhow I'm just giving city. Okay, just for an understanding, I'm just giving a city. Okay, so here, as of now, I'm also deleting here employee name. Okay, let it be only one. If I again try to give clustered is equal to true. Okay, it is showing error. Why it is showing error? Because once you have created that cluster for the complete key, okay, that will be defining in the primary key. Once you have told that this is a clustered key, then completely all your keys will be clustered. Okay, you don't want to specify for everything. Okay, the clustered key sk has already been defined for a table employee, so only one clustering index can be created. Okay, for one table you cannot create multiple indexing, you can create only one indexing. Okay, so once you have declared that as a cluster true, then leave it. It is not mandatory that you have to give it for every key. Okay, so likewise you can also give like primary key as a customer name. Foreign usually you not give like that, but anyhow, for primary key is customer number and foreign key as a customer name, that is a secondary key as a customer name. Okay, that is possible. So how it will be indexed? It will be indexed based on the ascending order. That is a proper indexing. It will proper indexing. That is a clustered indexing. Okay, so this is how the indexing will happen. And why we want indexing? If you use indexing, it will increase the performance. Okay, but if you use multiple indexing, okay, if you use indexing, like if you use a key, it will be easy to search properly. and you can maintain the table and it holds the relevant data whatever it want, that is fine. And this indexes for each key, because you are creating an index for a key, so everything will be indexed as a clustered index. Okay, will provide a specific view that enables quick and flexible searches for your data. Okay, even though, even if you are creating, as I told, if you are creating multiple keys, while the performance will improve only when you retrieve data in a several different sorting sequences, but the performance slows down when you enter data, because indexes for each secondary key must be maintained. Okay, every secondary key we have to maintain it. Fine. So the overall speed, so how the overall speed is depends on the size of the database. Okay, your database, complete database, what you're going to create, number of active keys, how many keys you're creating, because I'm just showing only one table, but if you're going to create multiple tables, so you will be creating multiple keys, and how many keys you're going to create it for every table. Okay, and the complexity of the key, if you, for example, as I told, you can create four key as a primary key, as a combination of primary key. So if you keep on creating, and also the same like for the secondary key also you can create it like this. Okay, city comma employee name, you can also create like this. Okay, if you create like multiple keys, that is a multiple combination of fields inside the key, then the complexity of the key will increase. Okay, and the number of records in your table, that also that also cause many impacts for your speed of your table and retrieval of that, speed of your computer and hard disk, so everything matters. Fine, so whenever you are creating any key, you should be very very careful. Okay, so now let us simply proceed with the next one, which is a variable, global variable. Since for this specific thing I don't want any variable, but if I wanted to use, if I wanted to create a calculated field in that, so I can create a variable here and make use of it inside. Okay, so this is simple, it has to start with where. So once if you give where, it will consider that you're trying to create some variable, and you can simply give some name to that. For example, value 1. Okay, and it is an integer. Again, you don't want to again create it as a var, you can simply give value 2. Okay, and it is an integer, simply you can leave it. So I have created a video which already created a video which is used with a variable. Okay, you can check that in my playlist, so it will be easy for you to understand. So this we are not going to use it as of now, so I'm just going to delete it. Okay, even if you don't want it, you can simply delete it, that will not cause any harm for you. Okay, so next one is for the trigger. Okay, by default this is a inbuilt trigger in your AL programming, that is on insert, on modify, on delete, and on rename. So whenever you are inserting any data into your table, you want to perform some action, then you can go with the on insert. Okay, while inserting any data into the table. So I don't want any such big thing which should happen now, as of now. So I'm just going to simply display a message like data inserted. Okay, this is a simple message I wanted to display whenever a data is inserted, and I wanted to display when a data is modified. I want to display like data modified. Okay, and whenever a data is deleted, so I want to display like data deleted. So message is what the inbuilt function which is used to display something on the screen for the user. Okay, data renamed. Okay, simple, it's a very simple trigger means what, if you are if any action is performed, if anything has happened, it has to show something, it has to perform something. So inside whatever the code you want, you can write it. Even when on insert, something should happen. Okay, on insert, whatever you wanted to do, that you can create it here. But for as of now, I'm just creating it like this. Okay, so your table is ready. Of course, I hope you all understand what we have did. We have simply created a table with an ID. We have discussed about the basic table properties and then a fields in that, and then we also created some keys for that, only two keys for that, and then a trigger for that. We discussed about all the complexities, keys, and everything. Now this is my table, this is my table ID. So I have to make it 50111. Okay, you can see here that this is the employee code which we have created. Okay, and this is an employee names, and this is a salary, date of joining, city, gender, and this is the default ID which will be created by BC itself. But you can see that there is no data. Why? Because we can create a data only through page. Okay, page is another object. Table is just to store the data. Okay, and you can view the data in the table. If it is created, you can retrieve the data from the table. But if you want to generate the data, if you want to give some input to the data, input to the table, you have to create, you have to use a page. Okay, page is another object. So you can think in this way. Okay, so table is what, like a backend that is in the database. Okay, so table is a backend where we are just going to store something in the BC itself. So if you want to store something there, you need a user interface where you are getting data from the user and you wanted to store it in the backend. Okay, this front end, that is a user interface, it was the page. Okay, that is an object. This is not a front end, this is an object which you wanted to create it. Similarly, like these fields, you have to use all these fields which we have created here in the employee. Okay, I have actually, I'll rename this as an employee. Okay, so whatever we have created in the employee, the same field you have to create it in the page, that we will see in another video, in the next video probably. And we will discuss about what are the properties in the page and how we are going to populate the value into this employee table from that page, employee page.